Introductory number 375, appropriating American Rescue Plan Act funds, amending the 2021-2022 budget and authorizing an agreement for adult workforce development services. Any questions, comments, and/or concerns?
I have a question.
Madam President.
Mayor, is this program based on the one that we went to Cleveland to look at? Maybe she's not there. Is anybody else from administration can answer that?
I'm not sure if it's based on Cleveland, but there is one in Chicago. The mayor is coming off.
I'm sorry, Madam President.
Is this
I'm
program?
sorry, Madam President. I didn't hear your question.
Is this program based on the one that
I
we
had to
went
take
to
my
Cleveland
daughter.
to see?
No, this is no. This is completely different than the one that we went to Cleveland on. This is similar to what the city of Buffalo does in their workforce development program. They have a separate workforce development program directly that's meant for their city. Unfortunately, Rochester many years ago decided that we would provide, we would work jointly with Rochester Works and in bringing workforce development dollars in that way, whereas Buffalo maintained their city workforce program because they understood, and hindsight is 2020, that the issues that faced the citizens of Rochester and the city of Buffalo at that time are completely different than the issues that may outweigh in the outlying counties. And when you have so many different challenges and issues when it pertains to workforce and where do you focus, we have gone around, looked at, the commissioner has gone around, looked at other cities and exactly what they're doing, and looked at the challenges that we have currently in our community. And this program is based off of Chicago, based off of workforce development situation that they have in Buffalo. Recently, the Buffalo Billion, they rebuilt a manufacturing training center and all of that. Because they were able to do that because they had the right focus, it was targeted, and it was specific to the residents of their city.
Okay, thank you.
I have a comment, Vice President Lightfoot.
Councilmember Gruber.
Thank you. This work is really near and dear to me. It's something I've been talking about I actually had a conversation about this with Mayor Warren and Deputy Mayor Smith a couple of years ago at this point, all the way down to the same location at Tops. And I'm thrilled that Commissioner Lemon Torres, you've taken it up and you're finding other models to work, to look at, like the one you mentioned in Chicago. I would just ask, if not implore, us to hold this legislation and to have an opportunity for us to talk about it as a council. This is $14.5 million, and the legislation still has a huge amount of questions to me. I don't know. I know who the principal is in terms of the board chair that was listed, but I have no idea who is on this board. I have no idea what the $14.5 million is going to do. And I think that if we sit down and Commissioner Lemon Torres, I have no doubt that you actually have the answers to all those questions because you're incredibly thorough when you come to us with a proposal like this. But we simply have not had time to have those questions besides it taking about 45 seconds in an otherwise packed work session. I would personally ask to hold it, have a conversation, and for us to be able to go into voting on it eyes wide open.
I don't have a problem with that, Councilmember Gruber. I think that my understanding was that there was a full briefing on this legislation, not this legislation, but this program with City Council, that questions were answered in that. We brought the legislation forth because we had already presented the proposal to City Council before. As you indicated, this is something that was born, from a discussion that we had directly with you in the Tops Plaza. When the commissioner came to us with this, it piqued my, interest based on that discussion that we had and understanding the challenges that the citizens of Rochester currently have around not just workforce development, but retention. And Council President Scott brought up the situation in Cleveland. And what we found is that our cooperative program, was met with many challenges because we did not have something like this to be able to be a launch pad for those people that we were employing. And so we want to give our residents the best fighting chance possible. I believe that this is a way that, as you know, running a workforce development program, the challenges, the successes, and all of that, with that, this is a way for us to really give our people a fighting chance at life. And I'm sure the commissioner will sit with you, answer any questions that you may have. But I don't want this to be something that appears to just come out of left field, because it didn't. There was a session on this. This was something that had been discussed.
There was not a session on this. There was never a session on this.
Commissioner, that was what my understanding was, that she had met with City Council, that she had spoke to you directly, and I think that she had offered you an opportunity to sit on the board. Commissioner
Lyman Torres and I spoke about this. The City Council has not had a session on this, and there are a ton of questions that still need to be addressed by the whole council. This is near and dear to my heart. As I said, I'm interested in the subject matter, but I believe the legislative body deserves a chance to hear about a $14.5 million project for more than the 3 minutes that we got. My understanding was that it was completely different. So if I'm wrong, then charge it to my head and not my heart, but that is not what was explained to me. And, that this was something that had been discussed, is something that had been presented. And if you want more questions, we will gladly answer those questions. This is directly what we heard from our constituents over and over again. And so I welcome the opportunity for the commissioner to be able to present this information to all of council if they have not been given an opportunity to hear directly from her on exactly what's happening here. It is a great proposal. We have a work session scheduled next week with Commissioner Lyman Torres, and I would love to see that instead be on this subject so we can all go into a vote with eyes wide open. Because at this point, I believe I'm probably one of the few council members who have had a chance to talk about it, but I think we as a body need to hear about it. So that would be my proposal to you, Vice President Lightfoot.
At this point, I'm gonna move forward. I'd like to hear other conversations from the other council members that have questions.
Mr. Vice President,
Councilmember Evans.
Just a couple of questions, and I'm not on the committee, so I'll just ask these questions, but I'll put these in writing because I know it's after the time that was allotted for the committee. Just a couple of basic ones. Where is this organization located in the transmittal? I don't see the address of where the organization is located. Who is the president or executive director of the organization, if there is one? Who are the other members of the board that are referenced here? It references a board chair. I'd like to know who the other members of the organization are. And again, I'll send these all in writing. What has the organization worked on at this point? If they've done other things, what's been the success with that? I know that there was a justification for not having an RFP, but for $14.5 million, that is a lot of money to me to not have an RFP. I saw the justification, but are there other organizations that have a track record that have done this? So just a little bit more than what I have here as to why an RFP wasn't issued. And then my last two, just the sources and uses of the funding. So is there other sources of funding that will be related to this that might come other than city dollars? And what will these funds be exactly used for from the anticipated use of those funds? And those are just some of the questions that I have. And this is my first time hearing this as well. I hadn't seen this proposal before.
So as it pertains to the address and all that, I'll make sure that the commissioner gives that to you. However, this program, as I was explaining to Council President Scott, as well as to Council Member Gruber, it's new. It's new. It's the Sustainability Institute I asked the commissioner to go out to find, we saw what problems we were facing after the pandemic, during the pandemic with our residents. We continue to hear from our workforce, meaning people that are in business in the city of Rochester, that they couldn't find anybody, and the challenges that lied there. And so she came back with this particular proposal, which was we transferred the or changed the cooperative, meaning the market-driven community co-op, because of the challenges that it experienced during the pandemic, to really look at workforce development. And so the market-driven community co-op is something that the city has been supporting for years. We had two successful businesses that during right before the pandemic and during the pandemic basically went under because of the challenges with workforce and contracts and other things like that. And so given those factors, the board of the market-driven co-op wanted to continue because they saw the need and the necessary relationships that they were able to develop with the residents of our community that were a part of that, to find a better way to actually serve them. And so this is a program that is being, that is new in the fact that it's something that is not done here in this particular way. But it is something that the city, the board and all of that is something that the city has been supporting for years. And I know that the commissioner can provide that information to you. I think that Councilmember Gruber had a great suggestion that that people, that you sit down and talk about it. My understanding was that this had been brought to council in a work session before and spoken about. And I understand at this point, I'm being told that that is not the case. Had I known that, I would have made sure that the work session took place prior to us submitting this legislation. But let me be very clear that this is something that has been well researched. It's something that our residents have continued to push for and ask for. And I know that the commissioner can answer any questions that you may have.
Commissioner Torres, do you want to address some of these questions that have been presented before us this evening concerning this introductory?
Well, I think a number of those specific items that Councilmember Evans has asked for, we certainly can respond to in writing. When we did receive two sets of questions from council, we did reply to those prior to the meeting. I agree with the mayor that there have been a number of opportunities to talk about what we're going to do with workforce development as we are not only responding to the pandemic, but also just stemming out of all of the work that has been done in the Office of Community Wealth Building and from our 2034 plan, which was also focused on urban agriculture, co-ops, and increasing job opportunities for city residents. I think what we heard from our residents when they responded to our request for their input on how to spend these dollars, they overwhelmingly asked for support with job training and workforce development. So this project has been being worked on and born from our 2034 plan all the way to what can we do to support our residents through this transformation and prepare them for jobs in agriculture and supporting urban agriculture. So I think that, again, to Councilmember Evans' specific questions around address and board list, we most certainly can provide that information. But the organization itself was founded and incorporated solely for this purpose, and is prepared to serve our residents in this way.
Any other questions, comments, concerns by any other council members?
Just one, Councilmember or Vice President Lightfoot. Is there any reason why having a work session and talking about it? I mean, this program, considering it involves site acquisition, staffing, etc., is months, if not years away from starting. Is there a reason why 1 month and having a work session cannot be done?
I don't think that there is a reason why. I mean, when you talk about acquisition and all of that, I mean, I think that we are ready to hit the ground running as soon as everything is approved. Because just like we did with the Office of Community Wealth Building, like we've done with many other programs, we're ready to serve our residents in the way that they want. Right now, there are many businesses out here that's looking for employees. There's many residents that's looking for work, and we want to be able to service them. Now, if it's, council's will that we hold this legislation and we delay that, that is up to you. If you want, I understand that you have additional questions. But again, I would say that we, in our estimation, we want to be able to move expeditiously because we see the need. We see the hunger that our residents are facing at this point in time. And we believe that they need the support. And if we don't provide it for them, then they're not going to get it. And there may be other programs out here that claim to do the same thing. But the reason why YAMTEP was started was because of the fact that those programs claimed to be able to serve residents and they weren't. And we have been able to see the success of a dedicated team that focuses directly on making sure that people that do not have a second lease on life get a second chance. And this program will do exactly that. And that's the reason why I believe FoodLink started their program. There were other programs out there, but you saw the need. So we can wait if that's what council wants to do, but I definitely want to reiterate that this is something that I know that every person in our community, and I'm sure every member of city council sees on a daily basis with people in our community that need support and need help, and they want a job, they can't find it, and they don't have the skills. And we keep saying the same thing. We have an opportunity to do something different here, and we have a once in a lifetime chance to do that. And I would implore us to take that leap of faith and to go forward with this. But I don't have a problem with holding this for a month if that is what council would like to do.
And I want to reiterate, Mayor, that I am dedicated to seeing this work through. I think we are not doing our due diligence as a city council to approve $14.5 million when we've only had 3 total minutes to talk about it as a body. That does not seem appropriate to me for us doing our duty as a legislative body. And I would ask to hold it once again.
So, council member, the fact that you had 3 minutes is not the administration's issue. This legislation was submitted through the regular process, which gives you weeks to ask questions, and you have, and we've answered those. So I don't want to give the community the impression that the administration has not spoken on this legislation, have not answered questions on this legislation, because we have. And on top of that, we have also not just during a work session and the questions during the work session. These are all things that were talked about in Rochester 2034 plan. It's all things that has been talked about with the community in developing the plan, the ARPA plan, and all of that. And council was aware of those. And these are not programs that or things that are new, bringing to the table. So I just want to make sure that I am clear that the administration is ready and willing to answer whatever questions that you have. But when you say 3 minutes, that is not on my end or the administration's end that you've had 3 minutes.
Mayor, respectfully, I asked you and your administration at least 10 times over the past several months what the process for appropriating the ARPA dollars would be. We were told it was going to happen at a work session on September 29th. We did not get a conversation about the process. We got an attempt to appropriate $204 million. We did not get an opportunity to speak about how things worked. We got a proposal for the entirety, which is supposed to be spent by 2026. So in all due respect, we have only had 3 minutes, and we have not had the work session that you yourself thought we had on this subject.
No, that's not true, Council Member Gruber. We presented a plan. We submitted a plan for council to review and for council to look at. It doesn't appropriate any money. So that is wrong. And so I want to be very clear. I submitted a plan that this community asked and participated in. And so I did my due diligence as the mayor and had several different hearings with our community, talked to them. I was on phone calls with them, and all of that. And I presented that information that I heard directly from them to City Council to consider, not to appropriate. Now I presented part of that plan was to present different legislation based on conversations and discussions that we have had over the last couple of months about what this community was asking for. And I did that. And so we're not appropriating $202 million here. We're asking out of that $202 million to appropriate 14 million and actually not even appropriate the whole 14 million because it's a 1-year contract with 2 years of renewal. So it's 5 million a year or less than 5 million a year. And so if there's a problem, then council can, next year, if they don't feel that the money is being spent in the way that it needs to be spent, they don't have to, go forward with it. But let me be clear here. We're not appropriating $202 million.
I'm going to.
I just have a quick statement.
Councilmember Lupien, is anyone else with questions? Please identify yourself in the chat. Please, Councilmember Lupien.
I just want to say that I am in, full support of this plan. It has so much of what people in the community have asked for. It's environmental, climate related, it's workforce development, and it's a cooperative, something that we committed to years ago, but struggled for many reasons to enact. And I understand the need for answers to some of the questions, but this project is something that I think is really wonderful for the community. And it's frustrating to me that this, of all things, is getting so much scrutiny when other things have not.
All right. So any other questions, comments, or concerns? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to adopt.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Any abstentions? Madam Clerk, introductory passes.